All right. And now I will hand it over to Dan to give us, oh,
So
sorry, Joe.
I'll add one thing. For presenters, Rush, I'm looking at you. If you start talking really fast and Marta is struggling to keep up, you'll notice that Marta will start doing this. And if you could help do that so that whoever's speaking will see that sign and know that they need to slow down for Marta to catch up with the interpreting, that would be awesome. So I'll pass it to Dan. I know he's going to talk nice and slow and we won't need to give any signals. But welcome, Dan, if you want to start us off.
Thanks, and hello, everybody. It's so great to see you. I really wish it were in person so I could give everyone a big hug and also eat some of that wonderful pozole that I miss a lot. Tonight, we are really lucky and grateful to have a special guest. We're welcoming Coach Tony Bennett to the community. Tony was really flattered when I was able to let him know that you all had been considering naming a road or a park or something in the new development after him. I had a feeling that because he's such a humble person who likes to give the glory to other people and to God, that that he would have some trepidation about that. But what was really cool is as we started to talk, we started to realize that a lot of the community values at Southwood are very similar to the 5 pillars that drive his program, that really make him unique as a person and a coach and a leader of people. And they make the basketball program that we all love and cherish so much, that the program that brings us all together here in Charlottesville, makes it much more than just a sport, but really a way to live life and to treat each other with respect and humility. So I won't take any more time. I'll turn it over to Joe, who's going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do this evening, and then we're going to turn it over to Coach Bennett, who's going to talk a little bit about the 5 pillars.
Great. Thank you, Dan. So as Dan said, we're going to start tonight by listening to Coach Bennett talk about his experience, not only coaching the basketball team based on his program, but also helping to build and support them into strong men of good character. And so after he talks about his principles, then we're going to shift and talk a little bit about the planning process and all of the hard work that you guys have done over the last few years. And from there, we'll have an open conversation where people can share their highlights of working together and talk about some of our shared values. As Dan said, there are a lot of commonalities between building a team that works well together on the court and building a team of neighbors that work well together. So with that, I'll hand it over to Coach Bennett and we'll hear more about your program.
Me llamo Antonio. Yo hablo español un poco. Yo quiero basketball. That's all I know. So I'm sorry. But thank you for having me. I just really am looking forward to hearing about your community and what you're doing. And look, when Dan called me and said, shared with me the vision of what's going on with your community, and perhaps you're trying to maybe name some streets or parks, and he mentioned wanting him to name them after me. You can do a lot better than that, but maybe I suggested if it ever gets to it, maybe something called 5 Pillar Way or something, 5 Pillar Park, because that's really what our basketball program is based on. I've been blessed to be the coach at Virginia now for I've been here 11 years, and when I came it wasn't great, but it's just been amazing how the program has built up, and then it culminated in a national championship last year, ironically after a really devastating loss the year before in the NCAA tournament. That was, talk about humbling. It was that we got beat, and then it was kind of unique. So I've just been fortunate to be involved with people and be influenced by people who've taught me a lot. And really, I'll just share briefly, if it's okay with you, about these, I guess, the foundation of our program, the pillars, and really why I coach. And there's a lot of reasons. Of course, I love basketball. I played in the NBA as a player. I have a lot of experiences, but I coach because I really want to show the college basketball world that you can do things different than the way society or culture suggests you have to do it. And my father is a huge influence on me. He was my coach in college. And I'll tell you how these pillars got started in the program, and there's 5 of them. Humility, passion, unity, servanthood, and thankfulness. I'd say about 40 years ago. Am I talking at a good pace, first of all? Good? Okay. I can get rambling. I can talk about basketball a lot and I get excited, so I got to slow down a little bit. But here's how these pillars came to be. About 40 years ago, my father, who was a coach, he was a man of faith. He had a strong faith in the Lord. And he said, if my faith is so important to me, somehow it should impact what I do in my vocation as a coach, as a basketball coach. So what he did, it's kind of cool. He studied the Bible and he said, what are some things that I think would make a great basketball team or a great player? And, of course, it's true that whether you have a faith in God, you don't, whatever you believe, these are just truthful principles for life and a basketball program, because I always acknowledge everyone's at a different place in either what they believe or what they don't believe. But that's how he came up with these 5 principles. We call them pillars because of the pillars kind of at UVA, that would, I think, suggest a different way. So, and I'll be brief, but the first one, humility. I'd say this, our world or our society says that you should, you should brag about yourself. You should almost have a confidence, which is okay, or a cockiness, like I'm the best mentality. But this pillar of humility says, don't think too highly of yourself. It also says, don't think too lowly of yourself. That's false humility. Just look at yourself with sober judgment. And, again, for a basketball team, when they have an identity and they know who they are, well, that's a great strength. Everybody says humility is meekness and, oh, it's not that. Humility is a position, I think, of strength. So that's what the pillar of humility means. And of course, these go to business, to family, to life, but that's how we talk to our young men. This pillar of the second one, passion. Again, I think our society says, don't let them see you sweat, have swag, be cool. And the pillar of passion says, do not be lukewarm, be passionate, have a fire in your belly, and love what you do. Passion means grit, resilience. And again, it's what you have to have in life, in anything. You have to have a love of what you do, but you also have to have a work ethic and a grit. So that's the pillar of passion. Our pillar of unity. We always say this, society says it's about me, but this pillar of unity says it's about us. And we talk about, again, the biblical principle is a house divided against itself won't stand. And we use an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And honestly, that's what I marvel about the video I saw of your community and what Habitat for Humanity is doing and what you guys are doing. Together, you're taking something, you're engineering it, you're building it to go far. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a principle that works. And the other thing about humility or about unity is, my dad always told me this. He said, when you're going to build a program of basketball as a coach, you better have players and coaches that you can lose with first before you win. Someone that you can go through adversity with, the hard times. Because if you're wise from that failure, that adversity, boy, then you're going to learn from it and grow. So the fourth pillar is servanthood. Again, our society, our culture says, you know, with these college kids, you know, entitled. That's a buzzword. I'm entitled to this. This is mine. This is, I deserve this. And this pillar of servanthood says the way to greatness is through serving others and to understand your role in the servant. We use the word, let's be great foot washers for each other, for our team. And that comes from the biblical story when Jesus washed his disciples' feet. He was with his followers, again, regardless of what you believe, for 3 years. And he was about to go and get crucified. And he had another time to share what he thought was going to be so important. So what did he do? He goes around and he washes all their feet. And they're kind of looking at him, and he said, if you look at me as your teacher and your master and your Lord, go do likewise. Serve others. And servant leadership is a powerful term now, but when you're around people who are genuinely humble, who are genuine servants, man, it's compelling. It's contagious. I think of the Mother Teresa's. I think of just people that I've been around that are just servants. They have such hearts to give. They're humble people, and you're drawn to them. And then the last pillar is the pillar of thankfulness. And again, I think, you know, again, our culture says, of course, be thankful for the good things we have. Everything is a gift, and we have many, and that is the pillar, to be thankful for those. But also this pillar of thankfulness says, be thankful for what you learn through the hard times, through adversity, because that's where true wisdom is. And so we really try to challenge our players and our team. Be thankful for sometimes failure, for adversity, and not that it's pleasant. It kind of stinks, really, but if you can apply what you're taught through that, the perseverance you learn, the endurance, oh man, beautiful things can come of that. And I think that's where true learning comes from. And I think when we lost in the NCAA tournament, that was humbling. Everybody kind of ridiculed us, but we decided as a group, we're going to face this head on. We're going to grow from it. We're going to learn. And it created a bond, a closeness. It made us work harder and resilient. And then, you know, it ended up as a storybook ending. So anyways, that's enough. I'm sorry to even talk this long, but those 5 pillars, that's the foundation of our program. I think it suggests a different way. And I think it, you know, our guys learn stuff. No one has them down, but they leave here and they say, okay. And then it's amazing. Years they'll say, Coach, man, in my marriage and being a father, in my work, I think about those. I think about what it means. And again, we've just, you know, I've been blessed. I think, you know, my father shared those with me. They're not his. They're, again, biblical principles that have stood the test of time. They really have. You can't reject that. And they're powerful. So anyways, so when, you know, look, I'm just thankful that you guys are a part of this and I get the chance to share that and you're letting me come on. If it ever comes up, and you don't have to do anything, but 5 Pillar Way or Pillar Parkway, if it ever got to that, great. I think if you decided on that, that would be a cool thing. That's what it means to me. And that's far greater. You don't want to put my name on anything. That's no good. Because if we start losing, people are going to go boo, and they're going to throw eggs at it and all that. I don't want that. But if you ever get to that point, those pillars, they suggest the right way. So that's all I had to say. So thanks for listening, and hopefully I didn't talk too fast.
No, I think you did a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing more, though, about you. That's enough of what we're about. I want to hear what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach Bennett. I think we do have a lot of shared values. One thing that we've learned in this partnership with the community is that you can't build on broken. There's a need to focus on the strengths and what's good in a community. So we'll take a minute, and Rush will walk us through the hard work, the long hours that people have put in over the last few years before we have a conversation about some of these shared values. So I'll hand it over to Rush.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Coach Bennett, for those words. I am going to echo you in that I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible so that we can move on to the more fun part, which is just talking to each other about what we believe in. So you've watched the video, and so you know about Southwood. You know we're big. It's a big project. We've got a lot of really amazing, hardworking families and community members that live here. Joe already mentioned we're endeavoring to do this from a position of the belief that everybody has something to offer and everybody cares about something, and that community members are the experts in of their own lives, and we take a backseat to hearing what they need and want in their community. We also made our core commitment to the neighborhood of non-displacement, and for us that is more than just knowing that there's a one-for-one replacement of housing. It's not about the quantity of units, but the quality of that work, that the culture and the community that are there today are there in the future, that the community stays together. We have put in, or the community has put in, more than 3,000 hours towards this end. And so I'm going to show you some really quick pictures that recap the last few months in particular of the work that this team that's in front of you has put in to make their dreams come true. We are focused right now on the first phase of redevelopment. It's adjacent to the rest of the mobile home park. It's allowing us to really live that value of non-displacement by building there first, so that families can move into the new development from their existing trailers. We started about we started back in April going on field trips so that we could explore other habitat developments and builds, so that we could dream together. Folks showed up en masse to support this work. They spoke with other community members. They spoke on their own behalf to advocate for this change that they wanted to see. They gave their own personal testimonials. It was really, really powerful to get through that approvals process. In fact, tomorrow, I believe the 21st, is the 1-year anniversary of our approval by the Board of Supervisors, our unanimous 6-vote positive. So that was huge. We celebrated it. We continue to celebrate it every day. And then this team formed. This was the group that said, okay, we want to live together. We want to design this first neighborhood. And so they started dreaming about what this could look like. They sat down with the engineers and the architects, and they went and looked at the site so they could start to envision it, imagine what this future could hold. They started designing together. They put together the drawings, and really all of the work that they put in was what the engineers and architects were then able to transform into the actual site plan that was submitted to the county and is scheduled for approval in the next few months. And that's going to allow us to move forward with physical construction and actually getting to see the dirt start to move, the walls start to come up in the next year. And so that's a really exciting moment for us. It's been on the horizon for a really long time. And as we've been working on the designs and the drawings and what the neighborhood is going to look like, at the same time, the neighborhood has been doing exactly the kind of visioning work, thinking about what this community means, what the values are, just like what you and your team do, what your father did in developing his 5 pillars. We started talking about what are the values that are critical to this neighborhood. What is this new neighborhood, and who are you together? Neighbors came up with some core values. They defined what those core values meant to them, what they meant when they talked about solidarity or security, togetherness, family. And then together we used those terms and those ideas, and they developed an actual value statement. I'll read it really quickly just to see it. But Southwood is a community that is founded on respect for all people and for our neighborhood. We value the safety of everyone, including our physical, social, and economic security. We believe in affordability in all aspects of our lives, keeping costs down so we can build economic stability for our families. We show solidarity with one another by helping and supporting each other, and we hope to preserve and grow our solidarity by teaching our children and inviting new neighbors to join us. Family, friends, and community are a priority, and we hope to create a sense of belonging where our community can thrive. And we mostly wanted to end there because I think I'll let residents and community members speak for themselves, but I know that the reason you came up as someone to consider commemorating with a naming in this first neighborhood is that they saw the connection in your 5 pillars and their own values as a neighborhood, and saw that sort of shared sense of humility and servanthood and working together to create something better and stronger. So I'm going to stop because I don't want to talk anymore. I want to leave room for everybody else. But we just really appreciate you being here. And I think it's really exciting to get to talk about all of these really big, beautiful ideas and concepts that we share together. So yeah, thank you. And I'll hand it back to Joe.
Great, thanks, Rach. So I think everyone really just wants to have a conversation. So Zoom makes that a little harder. I'm going to ask Molly to facilitate, and I have the hard job of keeping time. So we want to make sure there's space for everyone to talk. So we're going to try to do 2 minutes. Yes, ma'am?
If you can just give me a moment so I can start.
Sure. So Amanda's going to call folks who need the interpretation over the phone, but we will try to keep it to a couple of minutes so we can pass it around and give everyone a chance to speak. So I will pass it to you, Molly.
Thanks. So I would like to invite you all to share your thoughts and experiences with Coach Bennett, since he's here to hear from you all. And so a few questions that I will throw out there for you to think about. You don't have to answer them all, but to help you think about what you might want to share. What has been your favorite part of the planning process? So you could share something about what you've really enjoyed doing or something that you've learned. Another thing you could talk about is what values have motivated you to commit so much of your time to this process, to making this neighborhood a reality. Another thing you could talk about is, what is it important for you for people to know about Southwood? What do you want Coach Bennett to know about this community, and what's important about it? So I will now, as Joe said, we want to make sure that everybody who wants to speak gets an opportunity to. So she will keep a 2-minute timer, but I won't call on you. I will just ask you you can either speak up if there's a moment, or you can raise your hand or put your name in the chat box if you would like to say something. So with that, I will stop talking and I will go ahead and open up the conversation for any of you who would like to share something. Sorry, that's my dog.
Joanne, are you?
I'm sorry, the person you were trying to reach.
Do I have your cell phone right?
No, not right.
I'll text you Joanne's phone number, Amanda.
If nobody wants to get us started, I am tempted to call on Bruce to start us off. Maybe you can inspire some ideas in other people who might want to share.
And we should introduce Bruce and say that Bruce has been a fantastic partner. Coach Bennett, you might recognize him from the video as well. He's been with us on a near weekly basis over the years, working with community members.
I was given the warning that I would be the one that would grease the wheel. So that's what I will do. I will grease the wheel. And what I would say is that one of the underlying principles that we've worked with over the close to 4 years now that we've been working with everybody has been that what we have, we offer to others, and we offer it to others for their flourishing, so that they can do with it what they see best, and that they can flourish. And one of the most profound experiences of my entire career has been working with this community, because what we've found as we've gone through the workshops done the every Thursday night for months and months and months, is that in this community there are people that are brilliant, there are people that are committed, there are people that are generous, there are people that are wise, and there are people that are smart, and there are people that have the power to affect their own environment. And given the tools that they've developed, they actually have developed this plan. They've done the design work, and to see the transformation from the early stages when we were doing squares on pieces of paper to having 300 of you stand in front of the Board of Supervisors and telling them what the right thing to do was such a powerful experience. To have 28 of you go up and speak in that meeting was just a highlight of getting that approval. The other thing that has happened is that you guys know best about your own neighborhood. And you have been brilliant in the way that you have composed the neighborhood, that you've developed the plans. You know about walkways and density and housing types, and you know about stormwater management. You know about sidewalks and setbacks and multifamily and single family. You know about businesses and parking. All of those things that you've learned about over these months, and then have created a plan that, in my experience, I would put the plan, the development that you all have designed up on the wall in front of any Ivy League university planning department, and you would have one of the best plans there. I think that was just depicted in one of the Board of Supervisors comments, that the plan that you all submitted to the county was in fact better than 95% of the plans developed by professional developers and housing developers around. And that comes from the genius and teamwork and unity that you guys have had in this process. So it's just been thrilling. And I know that Raina and Rose and Angie, all of you guys have stories to tell that that I think are really valuable to hear. Mercedes.
So we've,
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
we've
Jen.
talked about how going first is hard, and that's what leadership is, right? Being the first to do something. So I know we said we wouldn't call on anyone, but Wanda, we're getting dangerously close to calling on you if somebody
Hey,
else.
we always say, don't be afraid of the awkward silence. You just wait them out. That's what I do with my players. But a basketball analogy, we always say a coach-led team can be good, but a player-led team can be great. And that's what I'm hearing. This is like, you guys are leading this. And again, that's awesome. So I would love to hear. It doesn't matter. I would love to hear about it. But of course, and you can ask me any questions if you want. If we're ever going to play a basketball season, if that's easier, but you don't have to. It's okay if no one wants to speak. But I really would love to hear from you guys who are part of this, if so. And we're not afraid of the awkward silence. That's what I say. So, but however you want to do it.
Thanks, Coach Bennett. We actually say that.
Joanne wants to speak. So
Great.
put her up there. It's not me, it's Joanne. Go for it, Joanne.
Okay. Am I on yet?
Yes.
Okay. I remember way back when we first started, because I was there at the first meeting. And let me tell you, we went through a lot of things trying to figure out this. And sometimes we just got so frustrated, it felt like when we left that meeting, we didn't even want to come back no more. But you know what? I always taught myself, a no word is not in my vocabulary. What you start, you go back and finish. So we went back and we finished every week, and we felt it. Some weeks we come out of there dragging. We didn't even want to go back. But like I said, you got to keep going back till the things get better and better, and you're the only ones that can make it better. It takes every one of you to pull together to do what we need to pull this place together. And everybody gets along. Everybody wants the same thing. We went over this over and over again. And, you know, everybody wants to help everybody, and that's the way it should be. That's the way this world should be. Everybody should help everybody. Everybody should stick together. And like I said, I had a lot of help out there. A lot of times I needed somebody, you know, to help me because somebody fell out of a chair, or and I needed them to help me put them back in, or they got locked inside their house and had to go get them out. And, you know, they didn't tell me no, and I couldn't speak Spanish. They can't speak English. But you know what? We worked it out and got them people back to safety. So you see, that's people pulling together. And that's what we need in our community. A place that's going to pull together.
Thank you,
And
Joanne.
I really enjoyed working on everything. I love to walk through the thing and see where we're going to build this and how beautiful it was down there. And it's just fabulous, the work you can do. And you don't even believe that you can do this kind of work. But when you got everybody around talking and telling you, you know, you do it this way or that way, you learn a whole lot. And that's one thing I have to say. Thank you for Southwood Habitat, because we've learned a whole lot just being there.
Well, we learned a lot from you, Joanne, and I know you can't see the screen, but you have a lot of smiling faces and head nods.
Well, you know what? I love every one of them.
I love you. Thank you, Joanne.
You're welcome.
I did notice that Mercedes had her hand raised right before Joanne. I'd love for Mercedes. Yeah, go for it, Mercedes.
Pues yo también quiero compartir las experiencias que he pasado aquí en la comunidad y con ustedes. Y como dijo Joan también, a mí me da también mucho gusto que a pesar de que pues no todos hablamos el mismo idioma y cosas así, pero en nuestro equipo hay mucha humildad y es una parte muy esencial en el grupo, que a pesar de que tal vez unos tienen más y otros tenemos menos, entonces en nuestro grupo no importa, porque al fin de cuentas todos estamos trabajando y luchando por lo mismo, por tener un patrimonio digno en un futuro, y creo que lo estamos logrando poco a poco y con mucho trabajo. Y pues independientemente de todo eso, yo soy muy feliz en la comunidad. Y pues estoy muy contenta de estar en este equipo participando con todos. Y al igual como dijo Joan, también se le aprecia a ella y a todos, todo el equipo.
Thank you so much, Mercedes.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, I saw Teresa was wearing a nice shirt that has a big Virginia logo. So I see that she went up, and I saw that big Virginia, so she makes me feel comfortable. So that's good. And thank you for sharing, Mercedes. Muchas gracias.
Richard, you're unmuted. Is that on purpose?
Well, I can go. Now, my thing, first off, welcome, Coach Bennett, and thanks for the title. Long time coming. Thank you. For Southwood,
Martita, yo quiero
my
decir
thing
algo.
was trying to make it safer for the kids.
No soy Lulu, soy Reina.
Right now, we'll have you go next after Richard's finished, okay? I've got a note. Thank you. All right, Richard, you can go ahead.
Have a safe place for them to play, because a lot of them are playing in the streets. If you notice the design, there's a big play area in the middle. That's for the kids and adults. The trees, dangerous. But with Southwood, you have a lot of hard-working and passionate people out here. And we've come together as a community, as a team. We didn't always agree, but we talked it out, worked it out, and became one. And we're just not stopping with Village One. We're going to move on. We got 14 or 16 more years to go. And my plan is to help through as far as I can. And I hope other people do the same. But it's an honor having you here, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. That's awesome to hear.
Thank you, Richard, for sharing. All right.
Thank you.
Now we will hear from Raina. Raina, you can go ahead.
¿Sí me escuchan? Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Bueno, lo que a mí me ha gustado que empezó la organización, yo he aprendido a conocer mucha gente importante. Al principio como que me daba pena, pero poco a poco empecé a conocer los arquitectos, el personal, y me motivé mucho. Y hasta ahorita sigo aprendiendo muchas cosas de ustedes. Para mí es muy interesante. Y sí, es todo, Martita.
Thank you, Raina.
Muy bien. Gracias.
So I'm conscious of time, but things are to get good. I wonder if other folks, if there's one or two more people who would like to share. I want to make sure that a couple more people have 2 minutes, if that's okay with everybody.
It looks like Teresa would like to speak.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Teresa. Oh, you got to take yourself off mute first.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. I didn't have no idea that you have to go through so much to rebuild of a project that you want to do. We've been through ups and downs and sideways and curves and over and under to get things progress, but I'm just anxious to see how the development is going to be when it comes to that time. And we are grateful that you are here, and I am a UVA fan to support what we're trying to do. I mean, I didn't have no idea that it would take a whole lot of planning and to do what we have to do. I mean, we went through getting approval and get site planning and then names and oh God, what is it? Association dues. I mean, I didn't have no idea that all of that is involved in what we are trying to do. So anyway, I would be glad to see all of that accomplished. And I thank you, Tony Bennett, for being here.
Thank you, Teresa. When you were talking, there's a cool proverb I always think about, and I share it with our team. And it says this: a desire accomplished is sweet to the soul.
Great.
And that's hopefully that day, and it's already coming. It's hard work, but when you see that, when the ground is broken or you see the first building, desire accomplished is sweet to the soul. There's nothing better. When you were saying and talking, I kept thinking, that kept coming through my mind. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome, Molly.
So we have time for one last person.
¿Sí me escuchan?
Yes, Angie, go ahead.
¿Sí me escuchan? Ok, gracias. Buenas tardes y gracias por permitirme otra vez dar este comentario. Primero que nada, pues gracias al equipo de Sadwood, al equipo de Habitat por permitirnos ser partícipes de este proyecto tan grande, tan importante y al final de cuentas gratificante para muchísimas familias. Gracias también al señor Bennett por apoyar este tipo de proyectos y me encanta su humildad, que realmente a pesar de que esta conferencia es por Zoom, transmite esa gran humildad y da una gran motivación. Gracias por compartir sus valores que lo han ayudado a él tanto personalmente como para su equipo y muchas gracias. O sea, no tengo más palabras más que agradecer y espero que muy pronto todo esto termine de hacerse realidad. Gracias.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you, Angie.
So Molly, I'm not sure if you saw in the chat box, Rose has asked if she could say a word. So Rose, I think you're gonna have to be the last call. Are you comfortable with that?
Okay, I'm gonna be really quick.
You don't have to be
I'm gonna be really quick. Well, you know I can talk fast anyway.
She really can.
Hi, Coach Ben. I'd just like to say thanks for the championship. Yay. I've been a Virginia fan since way back, since the Virginia Gentleman time. And so I've lived here basically all my life. So what I wanted to say is take two of your quotes. And you said, if you learn to use adversity the right way, will buy you a ticket to a place where you couldn't have gone any other way. And I think that sometimes some of us out here have been through a lot of adversities, and it bought us a ticket to Habitat, to being on the committee that will buy us that will get us a house. And we couldn't have gotten there any other way. So I really believe that is really true. And then my other thing is, you always say calm is contagious. And I have to remember that every time I go in a big meeting at work, and I have to say, calm is contagious, because sometimes it can get really rattled when you're dealing with a lot of people and everybody wants their point taken across. And so I have to sit back and think, okay, calm is contagious. Don't go off with them. So thank you very much for those two quotes.
That's so good. Rose, my wife shared that. It was in Charlottesville. There was something called a TED Talk, and a gentleman performed. I think it was, I don't know if it was wherever they do it, but it's called The Storyteller. If you ever Google The Storyteller, it's a TED Talk. It's about a 15-minute presentation, and it's unique. It's remarkable. But that's where that quote came from, and we really clung to that, And I believe this. Had we not lost to UMBC in the NCAA tournament the year before, I don't know if we would have won the national championship the next year, because it did something, and only adversity and pain, it's never fun to go through it, but it did something. But thank you. But I'll show you this if you guys can see it. I'm at home in my office. This is, can you see the picture in the background? So that's the moment when like we won, the clock struck zero. There's about 75,000 people there, and that's at the stadium. And it was remarkable. And I actually have one more picture I'll show you. Someone shared it with me. It's I don't know if you can see it, but that's when the horn struck zero. And I remember I sat there and I bowed my head and I just said, "Thank you, Lord. I'm humbled. I don't deserve this because of that experience." Sorry, that's I remember that moment, and it just kind of was all there in that time. But for sure, you guys, what you're doing is amazing, and I'm just so thankful to hear that and to be able now to follow this. And I'm going to tell my team. I actually have a call tonight with our team. We go through these pillars I'm talking about on a Zoom call, and so tonight we're on our last pillar of thankfulness, and I'm going to share this experience that I just had in your story with my team to show them and tell them about what real thankfulness means and people like you. So I think you're going to be, whether you realize it or not, you're going to be a source of encouragement for our team and a great example. So I'm grateful and sorry to talk again so much, but what you guys are doing is really special. Thanks to Habitat for Humanity, your mission and what I saw in the video, the ability to make this happen along with the community members is just a powerful thing. It's the way it should be, and it's right. So thanks. Good, great stuff.
Thank you, Coach Bennett. It's been a wonderful conversation. So thank you for joining us. I want to ask Dan if he has any closing remarks before we wrap up the conversation.
Not many. There's very little left to be said, but just so grateful to be among this group of people. And I tell the story sometimes, but it always bears repeating that I came to Habitat to make a difference, and maybe I have a little bit, but the biggest difference is that being able to do this work and being around folks like you all has changed me. It's sort of bathed me, cleansed me of a cynical veneer that I always had. Always looking for the sort of what's someone trying to get out of something, and it really put my faith in the spirit of people coming together every day just to do little simple acts of kindness and grace. And when it all adds up, it adds up to something that's incredibly beautiful. So I came to Habitat to make a difference, but more than anything else, it's made a huge difference in me. It's changed me. And Coach Bennett, I hope that we can keep this relationship going, because I think that the soul connection is there. I think what you do every day, the values that you live every day, not just with your team, but when the light's not shining, is an inspiration to us all. And I'm hopeful that this community will continue to be an inspiration for you, and a source of faith that doing the right things day after day after day really does add up to something magical and beautiful. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, and thanks everybody for participating.
Thank you. So with that, we'll pause here and wrap up. Thank you so much, Coach Bennett. Is there anything anyone has to shout out before we take a break?
Martita, soy yo. Dice lo último, ¿verdad? Me gustaría, bueno, ahorita que se componga lo del virus, me gustaría conocerlo en persona y tomarme una foto con él.
That sounds good to me. So.
Well, thank you so much, Coach Bennett. We really appreciate your time, and more importantly, the principles that you've been building, not only your team, but the young men, and yeah, it makes a difference. So thank you for joining us.
Bless you guys. Adios.
Adios.
Bye.
Everybody else stick around though.
Everybody else.
We have a few announcements before you leave.
No one.
Did anyone else leave? Are we all here? So we were going to
Estamos.
for much longer, but we wanted to share some announcements and have a little team huddle. Everybody feeling, do you want a little 5-minute break before we go into announcements, or should we just roll on?
Sí.
Roll on. Wanda say roll. Keep it moving. Okay. So Dan, we're just going to move into some announcements. Is there anything you wanted to share with the community members? You don't necessarily have to hang around while we do that. You're welcome to, but you don't have to listen to the announcements. If there's anything you'd like to share.
No, other than if people have things, if people want to have, I thought it was really nice of Coach to spend some time with us. He's really busy. The whole country wants a piece of him all the time. And if there's anything that y'all that was left unsaid that you want to tell him, if you want to thank him, feel free to pass that on through, I guess, through Molly or Joe, and I'll make sure that whatever you want to say to Coach gets to him.
Great. Thank you, Dan. That as an introvert and someone who needs to stew on something, and I think of the thing I want to say an hour later. So absolutely. Thanks, Dan. So if you guys have any afterthoughts by Dan, you're welcome to share them with us, and we can capture those and pass those along. But I hope that tonight was a positive experience for you. And before we sign off, bye, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce, for joining us. Thank you. Thanks for breaking the ice, Bruce. But before we sign off for the night, we do have some announcements. So Amanda, could I pass the microphone to you?
Yeah, thanks for the drum roll, Wanda. I appreciate that. So as you guys may have noticed, received some flyers and some postcards about, but we are having our community meetings, so community-wide, Southwood-wide, starting this coming week. So the meetings are as follows. If you guys want to take a note, if somehow you lost your flyer, which I doubt because you probably framed them, took pictures of them, had conversations around your dinner table preparing for them. But so the first one is August 25th. It will be in English at 1 p.m. The second one is Thursday, August 27th at 1 p.m. and at 6 p.m. and they will both be in Spanish. So Thursday, August 27th, there's 2 in Spanish, one at 1 p.m. and one at 6 p.m. The next one is Tuesday the following week, September 1st at 6 p.m. in Spanish. And then the last one is Thursday, September 3rd, 6 p.m. in English. So hopefully there is a time that works for you, especially the Thursday night ones, because we all know you're here. And so hopefully you keep that on your calendar to be here on Thursdays. We really would appreciate your guys' support because you are the experts in all things updates. And so we would love your support and to spread the word. As I know you guys have already done it, you're probably tweeting it and contacting the school, making sure everyone is aware of these meetings. So thank you guys. And I think Molly has one more announcement for you.
Yes, I have a final announcement with some more details about the ribbon cutting ceremony that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So quick reminder that the ribbon cutting is sort of this ceremonial event to thank the people who have partnered with us to get this project going and ask for their continued support as we move into the next step of construction. And so mostly we're talking about people who are like the state representatives, county people, local politicians, those kinds of people who some of you have met before, who we've worked with in this process. We will have a more community type celebration closer to when we actually get the machines out into Southwood, which will more be the beginning of 2021. And so hopefully at that point in time, we'll be able to get back together again and do a community event that's a little more exciting and fun for the community. So also because of coronavirus, we have to be really careful to limit the number of people that we have at this ribbon cutting ceremony. So what we've decided to do is have just a couple of representatives from each group come to the in-person event. And then we want to invite everybody to join virtually. So our goal is to get, I think it's like 400 people, maybe 300 people to join the event virtually, and then just have a couple of representatives from each group there in person. Hopefully that will let us make sure it stays safe, and people can keep distance, and we're making sure we're keeping everything well organized. So we are looking for a couple of you who want to be representatives at the in-person event. We are looking, and we're hoping that the rest of you can join the virtual event. That would be kind of be like a Zoom, like what we're doing here. And so we're looking for 1 to 2 people who might want to speak, to give like a speech, kind of like you did at the Board of Supervisors, or that some of you have done at other events. And we're also looking for 1 to 2 people to actually cut the ribbon. So if you think you might be interested in one of those in-person roles, please let us know, and so we can start coordinating with you. And otherwise, we'll make sure everybody gets the invite to the virtual Zoom link invitation so that all of you can participate in the virtual part of the event. So I will point out that the time, sorry, Marta, I'm going a little fast. The time is a little inconvenient for people who work during the day. It is at 10:30, I believe, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
10:30 a.m. on a Friday. So we totally understand if that time does not work for you. Hopefully, when we do our community event, we'll be able to have it at a time that's more convenient for everybody. But unfortunately, that's when all those state people were available. So just let us know if you think you might want to speak or cut the ribbon. And otherwise, we will just keep you updated about how to sign into the virtual event. That's my last announcement.
Great. Any questions, anybody, or comments before we sign off for the night? That was, well, then I'll just say I'm so proud to work with you guys and to be your partners. Thank you so much for your willingness to have a conversation with someone you've never met. It's not easy to brag about yourself. I see your note, Wanda. We'll make a note. It's not easy to brag about yourself, but you guys have done so much hard work over the last few years. And so I hope that tomorrow, on the anniversary of the approval of the rezoning, that you'll take a minute and think about how that could have not been possible without your hard work, without your voices, without your time, and without the way you work together as a team. So I'm excited about the anniversary, and I'm excited that we have the next step right in front of us. And I'm so proud to work with you guys. So have a good evening and thank you for your time tonight. We look forward to seeing you at one of the community meetings.
Night, everyone.
Good night, Richard.
Good night.
Gracias a ti también. Gracias a todos ustedes.
Sí, gracias a ustedes.
Wanda.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wanda.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Gracias.
Good night, Lulu.
Gracias.
Good
Buenas
night,
noches.
Brenda.
Bye, Martita.
Bye,
Bye,
Mercedes.
Arturo.
Bye.